Rimworld is almost the perfect game. It has organ harvesting, slavery, and they'd have to rewrite the Geneva Conventions from scratch just to account for the amount of atrocities you can commit in this game. But Rimworld is missing one thing from making it the absolute perfect game, and that is racism. As many of you know, Rimworld has several xenotypes which allow you to create several unique and genetically different colonists. But after doing some hard research, I couldn't find a single slur for any of these xenotypes. So in this video, I'll be creating several slurs for the various xenotypes in Rimworld based on their genetic background and certain stereotypes about them. And then I'll be ranking those slurs based on which ones I believe to be the best. Before I begin the ranking, I do need to state that these slurs are purely based on the fictional universe of Rimworld. In no way am I promoting the use of any type of slur or insult in real life. Now that that's out of the way, let's get racist in Rimworld. For each of these scenarios, I'll give a little backstory about the xenotype and tell you the slur that I've come up with for them. At the end of the video, we'll rank these slurs. Make sure to like the video if I make you laugh, and without further ado, let's begin. How would you feel if somebody locked you in their sex dungeon, force-fed you strange green goop down your throat until you vomited, and then threw you in a suit of power armor and told you to take over the planet? But there's just one catch. Remember all that green goop you were slurping down on a Saturday night? Well, now you're absolutely addicted to it, and without it, you're gonna die. You have three options to live. You can A, goon hard, B, goon even harder, or C, drink go juice for the rest of your life, or else you'll be put in a coma. And I got bad news for you, buddy. You can't goon in a coma. That is the life of a hussar, otherwise known as a go chugger. Go chuggers are designed as soldiers. Go chuggers are great at combat and not really good at anything else. They are dependent on go juice but immune to any of its negative side effects. However, I don't want you guys to think that this slur is only meant for hussars. Truly, anybody can be a go chugger. It's kind of like calling your friend an alcoholic. Whether they drink 1 beer a week or 50 beers a day, you should always remind them that they are a filthy go chugger, and they should probably go get some help. Let's talk about dirt diggers, the dirt mole xenotype. Dirt moles are extremely capable at digging or mining tasks, but they suffer from a sensitivity to light and they have poor eyesight at a distance. There are two ways to use dirt digger that I can give examples for. One has a more formal meaning and the other is a more informal meaning. Let's start off with the term dirt digger, the technical and more formal version. Dirt digger is more of an offensive term that you wouldn't use very lightly against dirt moles. For instance, if you said something like, "That dirt mole ain't nothing but a good for nothing dirt digger," the actual core of the earth might cave in and crumble as half the dirt mole population would rise from their dwellings, digging out deep within the core of the earth just to beat the living crap out of you. So personally, I don't ever recommend using the term dirt digger. It's extremely offensive, and as a dirt digger myself, I'm letting you know not to use it. I would lean more towards using its less informal term, dirt digger, a term coined by dirt moles themselves. The way you would use this is kind of the same way you would use the term friend or homie. For instance, Jamal and Dirt Sean are meeting their friends to research some gunsmithing later that afternoon. As Jamal sees Dirt Sean, he waves at him and goes, "What's good, my dirt digger? What you been up to?" Dirt Sean replies, oh nothing, you know, my place flooded last week, so I just been hanging out at my cousin's place for the week." Jamal replies, "Damn man, that sucks. Well, let me know if you're trying to play horseshoes or something later. I'd be down." Dirt Sean goes, "Alright, I appreciate that, my dirt digger. I'll see you later on then, I'm down." To any of my fellow dirt digger viewers out there, know this one was for you guys. So let's move on to yitards. Yitards are fur-skinned humans that are well adapted to the cold and have an animal war call. They prefer to be nude, and from my understanding of my YouTube analytics, about half of my viewers seem to be yitarded, which is the adjective of yitard. So to any of you yitters out there, I want you to know I love you and I support you. Despite their massive buffs to speed and defense, yittards are arguably one of the worst xenotypes you can have in Rimworld. Although they do have a higher defense, they fall asleep 40% faster, heal 50% slower, and are 25% more hungry. However, this is combated by their crazy yittard strength, giving them a whopping 50% melee damage increase. So if you see a yittard coming at you full speed ahead with his big old furry dangalang swinging around, freezing in the cold, you better run, or else you won't live to tell the tale. Wait, did you guys hear that? Wait, was that a... You meat monkey. Are you making those damn noises again? Bro, what did I tell you? No returning to monkey when I'm trying to make my videos, dude. Go back to your normal form. Ooh ha, ooh ha ha. Alright, that's much better. The next slur is one of my favorites because this slur applies directly to you, my friend. Yeah, I'm talking to you, meat monkey. You looking through the screen right there. This is about you, dude. Anyways, the next slur on the list, if you couldn't tell by now, is meat monkey. Meat monkeys are just standard humans in Rimworld, otherwise known as baseliners, and I'm gonna be honest, they're pretty lame. They don't have anything special about them, and they can't even turn into monkeys anymore because they've evolved past it. So to any modders out there listening, please make a Rimworld Druid mod so I can shapeshift into a meat monkey and vanish my enemies by engaging in poop warfare. Mud muncher, trough digger, nose breather. These are just a few names for the filthy, cold-blooded pigskins. Hell, even the name pigskin sounds like a slur in itself. Pigskins are ungulate, I don't know how to say that word, ungulate-like humans that can eat raw food efficiently and are resistant to disease. But they have clunky trotter hands and are nearsighted. Now, I know there are many names to call these meat bags, but we're gonna stick with mud munchers because I'm pretty sure these guys could live off mud and maggots for the rest of their life. Because they grew up rolling around in their own feces, they do receive a 10% immunity gain and are immune to both food poisoning and the negative effects of raw food. So honestly, these trough diggers have really good stats, but I'm not letting any pigskin near my daughter with a 10-foot pole, and I suggest you all do the same. Let's move on to high mates. High mates are designed to be the perfect mates. They can psychically bond with whoever they first romance for strong buffs. On top of that, they are happy but incapable of violence. In other words, high mates are complete sex freaks, and the only way you can dominate your enemies as a high mate is being a top. Something I know many of you are incapable of. The only thing high mates are good at is making a bunch of parasites that will leech all of the resources out of your colony. And that's why we call high mates sperm bankers. Now, you might be wondering, Frostburns, how would I properly use the term sperm banker? Imagine this. You were out partying last night at the bar having an absolute fucking rager. Your friend Henry starts singing the magic words, vodka cran. Once he starts this melodious chant, you know the night can go anywhere. After having several vodka crans and even a few smoke joints, you can't tell the difference between a pigskin and a baseliner. Right now, game is game, and soon a blurry figure walks up to you and asks you to come home with them. Without remembering much of what happened last night, you wake up in their bed. Immediately, you throw on your pants and book it the hell out of there. Not thinking much about the situation, you go on with your life, putting your whole era behind you as you now have a beautiful girlfriend that you care about so much. But 9 months later, you found out that you slept with a high mate, and she had crazy baby fever. Your friend says to you, "Mate, why ain't you use a rubber?" And you respond, "Bro, all me life I did, innit? That wasteman sperm banker must have mashed up me defenses." Next up is the Samphacages, the Samphacages. I can never pronounce the name, but you get what I'm trying to say. They are basically vampires and some of the most broken characters in Rimworld who quite literally cannot die unless you blow their brains out. And I'm not talking sexual style. The wiki describes them as vampires, they don't age, and they're nearly deathless and have multiple special abilities. In exchange, they need blood and catonic death rest, and they suffer in the light. The slur, I decided to come up with these guys, and for anyone who enjoys them as a Twilight fan. I don't really need to explain why that can be considered a slur. If someone calls you a Twilight fan, or you actually like Twilight, I think that's insulting enough, and we can just move on from this one. The next xenotype on the list will be genies. Genies are designed to be engineers. Genies are calm and great at crafting and intellect, but fragile and otherwise socially inept. In other words, genies are essentially computer scientists. The only thing genies are missing from being the ultimate Mark Zuckerberg is them receiving a +10 mood buff for not showering. They are great at crafting, but extremely weak in everything, even with their social skills. When I created my slur for the genies, I decided to take into account that they literally have brittle bones, which make them naturally more weak to everything. Because they are quite literally built different, I'll be calling the genies the Think Meat Homunculus. Methamphetamine, Molly, Mormonism. These are the 3 drugs that I don't want to get anywhere near. Along with absolutely ruining your mind, these drugs can ruin your body and have your teeth looking like an Englandoid after tea time. And I have bad news for you guys. The war on drugs was lost, and the drug infection has spread to Rimworld in the form of psychite. Psychite is a drug found in Flake and Yayo, two extremely potent Rimworld drugs, and the wasters are absolutely addicted to the stuff. And this brings us to our next slur, flakeheads. Flakeheads are bioweapons that can thrive in toxic buildup, survive diseased, and can even ingest wake up freely. But they have a need for some form of the drug psychite. We call wasters flakeheads because Yayo is just too damn expensive. So the wasters decided to move to Flake instead. And now the flake epidemic in Rimworld is absolutely horrible. Now you might think these flakeheads are too damn high to even fight, but that's where you're wrong, my friend. Upon using Flake, you receive a 50% pain reduction modifier, which lets you go absolutely apeshit on your enemies. On top of that, flakeheads receive a speed buff and a consciousness buff from wallowing in their own filth. So if you're a Discord mod who's addicted to Flake, you are truly the ultimate life form. This makes flakeheads one of the best combat colonists in the game. Let me know who you think would win in a fight, 100 gorillas or one flakehead. The next one is a new xenotype actually introduced a part of the Odyssey DLC. And although their government name is called a Starjack, these people are nothing but a bunch of xenotiggers. They want to tear down our planets by leeching all the resources from it and then hop to a new planet once they're done. And that's why I call them star maggots. Star maggots are designed as workers suited for space environments. They are more resilient to the effects of space, but weak in melee combat. I think the worst part about star maggots is when I say they are good for nothing star maggots, it's not even for the bit, dude. I mean, these guys just like actually suck. They suck at melee combat, they suck at mining, they suck with animals, they have weak melee damage. I mean, dude, the list just goes on. And they even have lower movement speed and lower working speed unless they are in space. But in Rimworld, you're only in space for about 2 to 3 days on a planet to mine resources before you leave, which is why I think the name Star Maggot is really fitting for them. So I think we should send those Star Maggots to a new planet, cause goddammit, they're stealing our baseliner jobs. The next slur is honestly one of my favorite xenotypes in Rimworld. What I love so much about this xenotype is at one point, we were all one of them, and that would be a meat beater. At the dawn of time, humans have been known to beat meat for a variety of reasons. For food, water, shelter, or even just to have a good old time. Meat beating has been such an important part of human life since the Dark Ages.
You are maidenless.
But with the introduction of the internet, culture spreading, and new technologies, humans have beat meat less and less. But Rimworld is a place where you can still be a meat beater no matter who you are. And that's why this next slur goes to the Neanderthal xenotype. Neanderthals are ancient humans that are slow to move and slow to learn, but incredibly tanky. I'm sure this is already pretty obvious, but I decided to call them meat beaters because back in ancient times, cavemen were known for beating up animals or even humans with bats or clubs. This is kind of pretty similar to how you would tenderize your meat with a meat beater nowadays, hence the name meat beater. But I'm pretty sure you already understood that from the introduction. Now, for this last slur, I really wanted to honor the original in-game lore by keeping it exactly the way I found it. Because while making this video, doing hours and hours of research trying to find actual in-game slurs used on the wiki or between dialogue of colonists, this is the only slur that I could find that I didn't create and just exist in the game. And that is a dust runner. Now the reason this slur is so powerful was not because it's the most amazing bonafide slur you've ever heard, but because like I said, I didn't make this slur up. This comes from the in-game lore itself, which means our Canadian friend Tynan has a little bit of xenotopia. Impids are a xenotype of fire-breathing, devilish desert people, but sacrifice ability with melee fighting, plants, and animals to accomplish this. They are recognizable by their horns, bright skin, and fire-breathing attacks. Now, I'm not racist or anything, but based off that description, if I had to choose a slur for the Impids, I think I'd call them a bunch of... Wait, can you please cut that out?
Can you just stop being racist for 1 minute? Just 1 minute, man. Do you know how hard it is for my job cutting out all the racist shit you say?
Wait, no, seriously, I'm gonna get banned. Please cut that out.
I cut it out, dude. Just go finish the video. Try not to be racist.
Now back to your regularly scheduled racism. Now that we've created and given definitions for all of our slurs, it's time to rank them. In order to rank these slurs, I have exactly 30 seconds to rank all the slurs before time runs out. If I fail, I have instructed a meat monkey to go into the city of Detroit and use the term dirt digger as many times as possible on the local dirt mole population. After doing so, so many dirt diggers will arise from the earth and dig out of its core that the earth will literally collapse on itself if I fail. So wish me luck. In 3, 2, 1. Go! Raw, next question. Smash 10 times, bro. Pass. I hate Twilight. Okay, look, y'all, hear me out. The syndrome might be down, but the booty is up. Smash on a bad day. If you're down with the snow, you gotta go. Pass. Come on. Computer science majors are asexual. Pass. I'm not being oiled up by these little ditty freaks, bro. Pass. Their name is literally Meat Beater. Smash. Easy Hawk Tour. Smash. Astounding pass. Followed up by an astounding smash. Easiest fucking pass of my life. Shit. Smash, smash, smash. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The slur tier list is finally complete. We successfully created slurs on Rimworld and ranked them as germinally efficient as possible. So if you made it this far, make sure to like the video, or else you might end up on my next slur tier list. With that being said, thank you guys, I love you and I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.